there. Welcome to First Glance with Jody Vance. And full disclosure, this is actually a second glance with our guest CEO, Matthew Pierce. He is Versus Systems Inc. VS is the stock symbol traded on the NASDAQ. You will want to write down Versus Systems Inc. So glad to connect with you, Matthew. From California to British Columbia, we made a promise to one another that we were going to have a little cocktail. So you got your beer ready?
Yeah, I'm super excited for round two, and not just because it came with a second beer, but because it is a pleasure to talk with you, Jody.
It's always a pleasure to chat with you, Matthew. Okay, let's have a cheers, sip. Because when I get people prepared for First Glance, I always say it's kind of like we're sitting at a coffee shop or we're sitting at a bar and we're just having a chat and talking about what you do. So we are literally sitting at the end of the bar right now. So excited about Versus Systems Inc. We did have a conversation to sort of lay the groundwork about your company. I got extremely excited about it. And then my partner in crime at EQUITY.GURU, Ehsan Agadi, didn't hit record or lost the recording.
We got too caught up in the moment. It's fine.
We're so excited.
And now we're talking again, which is delightful.
Okay. I think it's absolutely delightful and hilarious, but I had to just throw Ehsan under the bus just a little bit right there. Okay, so let's talk about Versus Systems Inc. because it feels to me as though this is something that will radically and forever disrupt in a good way advertising, marketing, and engagement on really every platform. Can you give our listener and our viewer the sort of Cole's notes on what Versus Systems is all about?
We certainly think so. So we've developed at Versus a platform that allows publishers and developers of really any kind of content. So games, streaming media, broadcast television, live events, apps. It allows them to put real world prizes inside of the content. So from an audience's perspective, the audience gets to choose, the fans get to choose, the players get to choose what prize they want to play for. And then their actions determine whether or not they receive a coupon or a discount or a product, basically that gets sent directly to them. So the idea is that your choice and your ability to earn the reward transforms it from being an advertisement into being a prize, into being a reward, into being something that you actually care about and that you're invested in. And the data seems to suggest that, it's obvious why people would like that better, right? They get,
what they want.
They get what they want. They're not being forced to do it. It's all opt-in. Like, it's just a much nicer way to interact with products. And this helps both big, gigantic companies who want to sponsor live events or have historically sponsored live events, who want to get into more OTT or want to get more into interactive advertising or want to get into more interactive media, into streaming, into games. It helps them. But it also helps small businesses who want to be able to reach fans that they previously couldn't. Sampling has been very well known for ages option, and we allow sampling at scale, and we allow companies to target and to geo-target and to.
Okay, I want you to let me make you pause there, because knowing the piece of geo-targeting was really mind-blowing for me. My background as a sports broadcaster, obviously sports engagement is key, and we'll get into that. I was a community cruiser reporter for a radio station. I literally was the one, I'm at the corner of 41st and Grenville right now. The first person by wins the tickets. And people would just be like, oh my, yay, I get to it. Right? That's what this is, except for you don't even have to leave your house. And if you love the pizza place at the end of the street and you chose that as your prize, you can win that pizza by the end of the game you're watching. Like, it's just
that's where it's headed. I think that and that's how we wrote the IP. We have a bunch of patents about how to do this and how to do this at scale. And we've been thinking a lot about, my career has included, my first company, now 20 years ago was early stage location-based services, that were brought about by digital television signals aiding GPS and cellular. And I've been thinking about the marriage of media. Sorry.
That's okay. You're a very, very busy man.
I'll just turn that off.
I love this.
So I
can reiterate. Matthew Pierce is the CEO of Versus Systems Inc. If your mind is blown, like my mind is being blown by this particular technology, these systems that are going to be a welcome part of our fast forward through commercials and skip ad lives, The stock symbol traded on the NASDAQ is V as in Victor, S as in Sam. Matthew joins us right now from California. And so carry on, before your phone rang, you were talking about sort of the big picture, as well as honing it in even to the smallest of mom and pop shops being able to grow their business using Versus systems.
That's exactly right, Judy. I mean, I think our plan is to take a technology that allows that can be so personal, right? Like your phone and the stuff that you watch, the shows that you watch, the streams that you watch, the teams that you root for, the games that you play, that can be so personal, and it can be so specific, and it can be so precise that if we understand that a little bit better, we can serve prizes more effectively. If I know where you are, if I know that you like the pizza place down the corner, and you've seen that happen in advertising over the last 20 years. You've watched advertising become much more personal, which is great.
Yeah.
Being able to add location elements, being able to add choice where you're not being forced to watch the ad, being able to add earned rewards as part of that is the next evolution of it, right? Like having it be relevant to you, not just relevant because of your desires, but relevant because of your location or what time of day it is, or what's going on. Having increased relevance, but also increased functionality and facility, and increased joy. Frankly, I mean, you enjoy it more. Like the people that watch our stuff, the people that engage with our stuff, don't think it's an ad.
Right.
And it's not.
It's not selling them anything. It's giving them opportunity. There's a huge difference between here, let me sell you this, and here, let's play together and find out what interests you. If you want to, in my mind, I'm like, if I'm working out and I decide I want to compete with somebody else in my steps on my watch or whatever, or my Peloton or whatever, and I have your app and it gives me an opportunity to either win some new gear or a new pair of shoes or whatever, that to me is more than advertising, because it's from the advertiser's perspective, I'm their target. They want me to want them. So it's a win for them, and it's a win for me because I get the shoes I want.
Well, and frankly, it's a win for Peloton too, right? Because now you're more likely to do that extra class. You're more likely to go that extra mile, and then you're happier with your Peloton because now your Peloton produces goods for you that you like, right? I mean, we're not working with Peloton, but that's how you can imagine it, right?
Right. And I don't have a Peloton, but I can imagine myself going, if I do 1 more mile, if I do 10 more, I can get the shoes. I will do that. I will be a longer user.
It's good for Nike, and it's good for Peloton, and it's good for you. And that's kind of how we're thinking about it. Whether that's the NFL Network and Shopify and and a fan of the LA Rams, or it's Major League Baseball, or Canelo Alvarez, or whatever the sports partner, the live events partner, the TV show partner that we're working with, paired with, and that could be a YouTuber or a streamer, any of those things, right?
Sitting at home, my bestie could be sitting in the arena watching the Canucks play. So I'm just down the street. He or she is in the arena. We're both competing. He or she could compete for a jersey in the arena and win it and have it delivered to their seat. Whereas I could win the pizza at the end of the street doing the same thing. We can be booing at the same referee. Like that could be the thing that we're doing.
So we've got, with our partnership with Excite, the Zio platform that they use, that's already being used by dozens of professional teams and by conferences and things like that, integrating directly into that allows the experience that you just described. And you could conceivably be cheering for the same team. You're both cheering for the Canucks. And when the Canucks win, or when they score a certain number of goals, your friend who's in the stadium could get, even if it's the same brand, right? Like if you wanted to keep it where it was, and these are examples. We're not, working with these companies, but just examples, right? Like they could get a discount from a Coke, or a hot dog in the stadium, and you can get a discount to Coke that you can go pick up at, Circle K.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a different coupon. It's a different prize. It's a different prize type, but it's relevant to you versus relevant to her, because she can actually go to the concession stand, and you can go down to the Circle K and get what you need.
I really like this. I like this. You know what, Matthew? I like it even more because I'm sick of the screaming Chiron. I'm sick of the the static win this now on my, being screamed at me through my streaming service, 15 seconds of you just looking at this ad. There's a better way to do it. It feels like Versus Systems Inc. is coming up with a better way to get brand. It's almost like the first time I saw product placement in a movie when I'm like, oh, that's a Pepsi.
Yeah, and on purpose, that's a Pepsi.
Yeah.
Pepsi paid for that to be a Pepsi. I think we're all watching this evolve, right? I mean, you start talking about how a lot of ads are still just kind of ads from old radio, right? I mean, we still talk about a sponsored TV show, or we still talk about stopping your show for 15 seconds or for 2 minutes to sell you, beer and soap and, and
the mid-roll. Oh my God.
Commercials and mid-roll and pre-roll and banners and all that stuff. And and that stuff works in its way and is useful in certain formats. And then every now and then you get an advertising type that is matched really, really, really effectively to its content, and then you get something really breakthrough, right? Like AdWords, which powers all of the value of Alphabet, all by itself, basically.
Wow.
I mean, not that Google has a lot of other things that they do well, but AdWords is the absolute engine of Alphabet. And it's a great product, right? It's super easy for you or for me to go bid on a word and get our website more views by dint of search. AdWords married with search is fantastic. And Facebook unlocked social and and now you're starting to see companies, whether it's Unity or Tapjoy or the Trade Desk, all of whom are having, riding multi-billion-dollar valuations because they've got a little bit more innovation, a little bit more thought put into how to deploy, an advertising experience to audiences in a way that is beneficial to brands.
Yeah, because it's that engagement piece, Matthew, that I think I'm a target for many, right? You target women with disposable income, women of a certain age. I'm that demographic. I'm the target of many. I get given the gifts of really lovely gift certificates from friends and family. I have a stack of gift certificates that I've never used, right? So, but if I was given the opportunity to access an app whereby I could now decide upon which gift certificate I would like to utilize, like that's like some next level stuff, right? It's because the thought is there. Certainly the items would be something that I probably like, but the odds of me actually using them are pretty slim, which can be, a strategy for some companies. Cause I want to sell the gift cards and then have them never be redeemed because my advertising gets out there. I've taken in the money for it and I don't have to give any product for it. There's that. But then there's the authenticity of what Versus Systems is bringing to the table is the whole goal is the payoff.
I think that's right. I think, and Jody, you're right that the purchasing power of a woman who, you like that all the things that you just described about yourself.
My demo.
You're an optimal target for so many different ad types. And I mean, when we were first coming up, we got a lot of, because the very first thing we put ourselves into was video games, because it makes sense, right? Win conditions are tied to games in a way that they're not tied to all other kinds of interactive media, right? So, crush this much candy, get a support gift card, kill this many bad guys, reach level 10, kill this monster, whatever. Being in video games, the assumption is that we're only after 18-year-old males, which is just the average gamer is, the average gamer's in their 30s, right? And
I know lots of gamers my age.
50% of gamers are women, right? 50% of gamers are women, and that's it depends on the game, right? It depends on the context. But we have this idea of a gamer is somebody that's playing hours a week because they've got a console, and those people are great, right?
Totally.
And the products that they love, they need to be targeted to as well.
Yeah.
But now that we're partnered with Excite, and now that we're talking about opening it up to live events, you're starting to talk about the Oscars. You're starting to talk about reality TV. You're starting to talk about,
anything.
Educational program. You're starting to talk about mobile gaming and the Peloton and all these kinds of things. Like, there is no consumer that will not be reached by this. It's not just a sub slice of it. And we're no longer talking about the $10 billion gaming advertising market. We're talking about the, $800 billion global advertising market, right?
And it's not it's and plus plus. Like this just keeps growing like this. I really think you're a game changer. Matthew, I've got to reiterate for our listener and our viewer, Versus Systems Inc. Look how busy he is. He's so busy. It's like on cue. Versus Systems Inc. Traded on the NASDAQ. The symbol is V as in Victor, S as in Sam. The CEO is Matthew Pierce. Matthew, if people want to reach out, dig a little deeper in Versus Systems Inc., is it as simple as versussystems.com? Is that where we're going?
It is. Versussystems.com is the website. New website comes out on April 15th. We've got, there's videos on YouTube about it. We have our own, people are excited about it. People
clearly, you're like ding, beep, ding, ring, beep, ding, ring.
Turning it off yeah.
No, it's great. I think it adds something. It's like we're in our own gaming experience, because I'm thinking in my mind, and as I said, I'm biased into the sports piece of the puzzle, but for the sports fan experience and who's holding their phone, because the 14-year-old boy is holding his phone at the same time as his 53-year-old mother is holding her phone, all watching the rugby sevens at BC Place. I want to win something different than what he wants to win, but we could play together at something that we're watching together. Like it kind of is, I'm stumbling all over because I get emotional when I think about my want as a parent to connect with my teenager in a way that is at his level, not saying down to his level, but at his level, right? I want him to respect my gameplay. I want us to compete with one another. And I think that this is something that can bring us together in that way.
Well, and being able to do polling and trivia and reactions and things like that, booing at the ref at the same time, or saying, hey, that was a great, fourth down call to run for it instead of pass, instead of punt. There is a community element to it, right? I mean, part of the reason why we watch sports, part of the reason why sports works is because, and frankly, if you look at how sports are architected in a lot of cases, right? Like the reason that you cheer for the Canucks is because you're from Vancouver, right? Yeah. Like it's a city thing, or it's a country thing,
heritage,
a local thing. Like or because your mom and dad cheered for them, right? Like you grew up a Broncos fan in LA because your parents are from Colorado. Like that kind of thing is powerful, and it's real, and it is community. And being able to add in rewards just validates it, and just adds, it strengthens your emotional connection, not just with the teams, not just with the games, but with the brands as well, right? Like we've done a ton of surveys around this, but like the idea that people don't want their experience interrupted. They want it enhanced, right?
Right. Oh my God, well said.
Thank you.
I want that on a t-shirt.
We're coming out with a whole line of promotional teas. That's going to be most of the value proposition.
Okay, set me up. You are literally, Versus Systems Inc. is literally the epitome of the company that I wish I could invest in. My own personal mantra is that I don't invest in the companies that I speak with on First Glance with Jody Vance, because I don't want anybody saying, oh yeah, you're just pumping the tires to line your own pocket. That is not what we're doing here. This is about groundbreaking, getting in, ground floor, growing long-term. I can really see what you're doing, Matthew, is something that you're building on to really change the way advertising and engagement is done moving forward on a global scale.
Well, I really, really appreciate that, Jody. I think it's the right time for it. I mean, as much as anything, we've been very, very fortunate in that we were hoping that this was the direction that interactive media was going when we first kicked this off in 2015. And now you're starting to see, it's not just the rise of free-to-play gaming. It's not just the rise of sort of interactive fitness software. It's not just it's where OTT is going. It's where television is going. It's where, and we're going to be fortunate enough to have been thinking about it for long enough and then be standing in the right place when all the action happens.
Holding some patents while you're on that surfboard at the front edge of the wave, and it's a big wave indeed. Yeah. What a blast, Matthew. Thank you for doing this. Please check back in, and we'll make sure we record them every time.
We can record as many of them as you care to. It is a pleasure to talk with you, Jody. I enjoy it every time, whether we record it or not.
Well, we're going to tell people this is our 10th time. Feels like old friends. Okay, we got to go though, because I always go along with it.
Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it. You take care.
Versus Systems Inc. Versus System.com. Check it out on the NASDAQ. VS. V as in Victor, S as in Sam. Cheers. That's
Okay.
it for First Glance.